On this week's show, the Super Bowl halftime performers are announced, and there's a special addition to Packers running back Aaron Jones' jersey.
In this week's history lesson, we tell the story of the Portsmouth Spartans Iron Man game in 1932.
That and much more this week in the world of football.
Hello again, everyone, and welcome to another edition of This Week in the World of Football. This is episode number 217 for October 5th, 2021. I'm your host, Randy Snow, and across the table from me, as always, is my son, Adam.
I like that you're wearing an Al Bundy Polk High shirt today. That's very nice.
I have been losing some weight, and I'm actually fitting into some old shirts. This one isn't a great fit, but it'll pass.
Yeah.
As long as I don't walk around and show you how tight it is.
I just wonder how many people get that reference. So that's a good reference he's got on his shirt, everybody.
We come to you each week from the World of Football Man Cave, located right here in the center of the football world, Kalamazoo, Michigan. We're here to promote the game of football in all its many forms, past, present, and future. From the NFL to the CFL to the XFL, college, high school, indoor, and arena football, we inform and entertain our listeners with the glorious buffet that is the world of football. All this while keeping a close eye on the rich history of the game. Thanks for checking out our podcast. We'd love to get your feedback on one of our many platforms: Apple Podcasts, SoundCloud, Stitcher, TuneIn, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and now YouTube, where we post the entire audio portion of the show, as well as selected video highlights. This is a new sentence, and I'm still getting used to that on the opening. So, let's review what happened this week, and we start with the World of Football scoreboard.
That's right. We're going to kick things off in the NFL as usual. We had a Thursday night game between the Jaguars and the Bengals, which saw Cincinnati win the game on a last-second field goal to take it 24-21. A big note from this game, the Jacksonville Jaguars have now lost 19 straight games, which is the longest streak since
2005.
2007 to 2009 from our Detroit Lions. We did this last week. It was a trick, and I can't believe you fell for it again.
I fell for it again.
What'd you think? Did you watch any of that game?
I watched a little bit of this game, I think, but I don't know. I probably went to bed at halftime.
Two good young quarterbacks that could be the future of the NFL.
Yep.
All right. Moving on, the New York Jets got their first win of the season by defeating the Tennessee Titans in overtime, 27-24. This is their first win following a shutout loss since
2010.
Correct, week 9 of 2010.
Oh my God.
You got one.
I never get these right.
You never get these right, and you got one. Hey, broken clock is right twice a day.
Oh, thank you.
Blind squirrel gets a nut every once in a while. Wow. Whatever other analogies you want to throw in there.
Yeah, that's okay. Just continue.
Randy gets one right every couple of years. Okay, moving on. The Kansas City Chiefs beat the Philadelphia Eagles 42-30. Patrick Mahomes becomes the fourth quarterback in the Super Bowl Super Bowl era with 3+ passing touchdowns in each of his first 4 games of a season.
Yeah, and the only thing that I remember from this game is they said that the Kansas City coach Andy Reid is the first coach in NFL history to have 100 wins with 2 different teams.
That's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, I think he was already going to be a Hall of Fame coach prior to getting that Super Bowl win a couple years ago. Yeah. This is just icing on the cake. He's just done so much, for 2 franchises.
Yep, and very successful with both of them.
Yep. So come to Detroit. We could use it.
Make it 3 teams with 100 wins.
I don't know if he's got it in him. Moving on, the Dallas Cowboys defeated the Carolina Panthers 36-28. I think this score looked a little closer than it actually was for that game. It looked like Carolina couldn't really do much against the Panthers. Yeah. But I digress. Dallas is now 10-3 all-time in the regular season against the Carolina Panthers. Wow. A stat I did not know and wish I would have before we made our picks last week.
Yeah.
Another team got their first win. How about this? The New York Giants got a win over the New Orleans Saints in overtime, 27-21. Saquon Barkley had the game-winning 6-yard rushing touchdown for the win. Wow, good for those 2 New York teams. Everybody was bashing them. Yeah. They were 0-3.
Yep.
And for both teams to go to overtime in week 4 of this year and get victories, it's pretty funny and coincidental. And hey, that's how football is sometimes.
Hey, there were 5 undefeated teams going into this week.
And only one remains.
Survived. Yep.
And we'll get to them in a little bit. Speaking of surviving, the Cleveland Browns survived the Minnesota Vikings in a heck of a game here. A shootout, if you will, 14-7. This was, boy, oh boy, this was a hard one to watch. Every time we saw the highlights from this, it was just hard to watch. Cleveland starting 3-1 in 2 straight seasons for the first time since, and I'll give you a hint, it's not in the 2000s.
Let's see, 1995.
From 1993 to 1995, yeah. So you touched on it at least. We'll give that a half a point.
Okay.
2.5 right, or 1.5 right.
I'll take it.
Yep. The Houston Texans got blanked by the Buffalo Bills 40-0. Buffalo, it's their second largest shutout victory in franchise history. Buffalo's blanked a couple teams this year so far.
I assumed that Buffalo would win. I didn't think they would shut them out. That was quite a performance. Really just unusual. I didn't see that coming at all.
Yeah.
I thought it'd be a decent game, but with Buffalo coming out.
Oh, but Buffalo's so good. Oh.
Yeah.
The next game we'll talk about, the Detroit Lions fell to the Chicago Bears 24-14. Bears head coach Matt Nagy is now 6-1 against our beloved Detroit Lions.
As we were saying earlier in the week, there's nothing that sets up a team to look like world beaters than taking on the Detroit Lions, and that was so true Sunday. Man,
yeah.
I thought Detroit was going to win.
We all thought they had it.
A lot of even Terry Bradshaw was saying that Detroit was going to win the game because I went back and I watched a little pregame show, and who's it? Kurt Menefee. He's making picks with the rest of the guys this year, and he said he was picking Chicago, and Terry Bradshaw was all over him. What are you doing? Detroit's going to win this game, and I'm just like, and this was after the game. I watched this, and I'm like, oh my gosh.
Hey, if we're so we won't stay on this too long, but the Lions had 3 possessions in the red zone and came away with 0 points at one point of the game. You can't do that. Yeah. We had as they're calling it, the dick pick, which is now replacing the butt fumble. Because Goff was going to the line to check the play. The ball gets snapped, hits Goff in the family jewels, bounces up over the line of scrimmage, and the defender picks it off. Like they've been calling it the dick pick, and
it didn't hit him in the crotch.
It hit him in the crotch. From that angle, it looked like it. Maybe it didn't, but that's what everybody was calling it.
Wow.
But anyway, to have that play to start off your game, that set the tone for the day.
Detroit was their own worst enemy. They fumbled. They threw interceptions. They
were too aggressive on 4th down.
Yeah.
Goff missed a couple receivers. I won't put it all on him, but I do think the coaching staff needs to take a step back. Like, they've been a little too aggressive. I already saw they were on pace to break the season record for most 4th down attempts in a season. They need to just calm down. Take the points when you can get them. It's not the worst thing in the world to kick a field goal.
Right.
If you're down by 30 points, then who cares? But they were within reach of the game, and I don't know. I think he'll be fine. Just settle down and just take the points when you can at certain points. You don't have to go for it on 4th down every time. I don't think we're that good yet.
Yeah, this is going to be a rebuilding year, so don't look for
we already
anything.
knew that.
Don't look for anything. Well, we started out and we thought, well, maybe, they're going to do well. They played well at times.
Like I said, 6 wins would have gotten them a parade from me.
Yeah.
But it's fine. I'm not even that mad. I was bewildered, a little frustrated during the game, but in hindsight, I'm like, it's fine. It's just one game. They're going to be like this. They don't have anybody on the team anymore.
Yeah, you've been saying that for 4 weeks. Hey, it's just one game. Well, now it's 4 games, and they're 0-4.
Anyway, moving on, the Indianapolis Colts got a win on the road against the Dolphins, looking sharp in those throwback uniforms, 27-17, and those end zones looking pretty sharp too.
I love the end zones in Miami, the big red diamonds with the letters Miami in there.
Yeah.
It reminded me of the days when Wahoo McDaniels was playing for the Dolphins.
Bless you. 27-17. Carson Wentz gets his first win as a starter since
Carson Wentz starter 2010.
Week 8 of 2020.
Oh.
Yeah, he hasn't been in the league that long.
Yeah, it was only out by 10 years.
Only. The Washington football team won in a thriller, 34-30. This is their first win versus Atlanta since week 2 of.
Oh, God, why do you always do this to me?
Because it's funny.
Week 2 of 2019.
2003. They had lost 6 straight. This was an overtime game, wasn't it? Or did...
There were 2 overtime games this week.
Okay, so no, this wasn't one of them. I kept thinking this went to overtime. Atlanta was trying to get it to overtime, and they did not. So, Washington, man, what a heck of a pass they had to take the lead there. We were watching that on the red zone, and whew, we'll talk about the red zone a little bit.
Yeah, the guy in the end zone that caught it, he was tangled up with a guy, and he just stepped away from him.
I'm surprised there wasn't any pass interference one way or the other on those guys, but I digress. Moving on, the Seattle Seahawks got a win over the San Francisco 49ers, 28-21. Russell Wilson joins Hall of Famer Peyton Manning as the only quarterbacks with 100-plus wins in their first 10 seasons. How about that? That's some good company there, Mr. Russell Wilson.
Yeah, he hasn't looked super good this year, but...
not typical Russell. It's 4 weeks in.
Yeah, hopefully he'll get better as the season goes
on. I think the Seahawks will be a little better, but that whole NFC West is a stacked division. Emphasized by this next game where the Arizona Cardinals shocked, nay, the world and the Rams, 37-20. Who saw this coming?
Not me. I was shocked. I just assumed that L.A. was going to continue to roll, and they didn't look all that good. I mean, they look good at times, but overall, Arizona was the better team.
Kyler Murray, that kid, I love watching this kid sling the ball around. I say that every week. I love it. Arizona with 30-plus points, 400 total yards in each game this season.
Wow.
That's going to be hard to keep consistent.
Yeah.
So we'll see if that trend continues. I doubt it, but good for them and good for young Kyler Murray, and the way that Cliff Kingsbury has really turned that team around has been very impressive. And to get a win against Sean McVay, Matthew Stafford, and the Rams. I mean, all right, the Pittsburgh Steelers fell to the Green Bay Packers in Lambeau, 27-17. This is Green Bay's first win against Pittsburgh since Week 17 of
1995.
Correct. They had lost 5 straight. Yeah. Good for you.
They kept talking about how this
is the first time Aaron Rodgers has played them since the Super Bowl.
And Rodgers have actually faced each other since the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
And, when the teams have met in the past, Rodgers wasn't
been
there.
hurt. Yeah.
It just seemed like it was such a long time since they played each other.
And the big question is: Aaron Rodgers going to be a Pittsburgh Steeler next season? That's the rumor.
Who cares? I don't care.
I know.
As long as he's not with Green Bay, I don't care what he does, where he goes, or what game show he's hosting.
Dang it! You still that joke was on the tip of my tongue, and I wanted to do that one. Darn you! Darn you! The Baltimore Ravens got a win over the Denver Broncos, 23-7. This is Baltimore's first regular season road win in Denver since
2008.
2001. So I guess you can't win them all.
Yeah, it was within a decade.
And with this game. Let me get your thoughts on this real quick. If you are down by 16 points and you're trying to throw a touchdown, like, I don't know, are you still trying to score? Is it a pride thing? Because you know you're not going to win. You got like 20 seconds left or whatever. Like, are you still trying to do it, or are you just like, look, it's done, let's just run the ball out and get home? Or are you trying to score a touchdown as a pride thing? What are you trying to do?
With how much time left in the game?
Well, like 20. I don't forget how much they had, but it was like 20 seconds. Let's say 20 seconds.
I don't know. You can argue either way, but
you're down by 16. Like, maybe it's 10 seconds.
If you got money bet on the game, those points matter.
But the players, oh my gosh. So anyway, the whole
player pride wants you to score.
There's a feud at the end of this because then the Ravens at the end got the ball with 4 seconds left and ran it instead of kneeled it out, which made the Denver sideline mad. And apparently, Baltimore was going after some record.
Right, so many straight weeks that. The Ravens quarterback had so many yards rushing.
Yeah, something like that. I don't know. But yeah, they're going after some record, but that made the Denver Broncos mad because they should have kneeled at the end, and it's against player safety and blah blah blah. And Baltimore was like, "Well, then why are you guys trying to throw?" Like, I didn't know that there was a 16-point play, in the NFL. So I don't know. It was just a weird, dumb feud.
There's been controversies like that before. Wasn't Detroit involved in one of them a few years ago where there was supposed to be a kneel down and guys were jumping over the line?
That happened in New York too. New York and Tampa. Yeah.
So. I don't know.
I think the smart thing is to kneel it, but I mean, don't get mad if they run it. Who cares? Like, it is what it is. Bunch of freaking babies, these millionaires in the NFL, I tell you what. Speaking of millionaire babies, young little Tom Brady scampered back up to, Foxborough, Massachusetts this past weekend and played a little old game against his old buddy Bill, where the Tampa Bay Buccaneers got the victory over the Patriots, 19-17.
Just as it was scripted.
Patriots missing a last-second field goal, I believe, that would have won them the game. But this is exactly what the NFL wanted. They had a nice, tight game.
Everybody was watching it.
I don't know
what's going to happen when Brady returns.
Did the numbers come out? Like, that should have been like one of the biggest games ever. I don't know if the numbers have come
any.
out yet or not. Yeah. We'll probably find out. It takes them a couple days to get all those numbers around. So maybe next week we'll report on that. But yeah, I thought, I was bored from the beginning of the game. It wasn't as interesting. I mean, there was some rain.
Yeah, we didn't watch a whole lot of it.
I mean, other people seem satisfied by it, but hey, good for you.
I think I went to bed at halftime of that game too.
New England has lost each of their first 3 home games for the first time since 1993. I won't make you play the game this time. But yeah, I guess, seeing Tom Brady with Bill Belichick, I guess Belichick went back to the locker room, to Tampa's locker room for about 20 minutes. People were reporting, so
yeah,
a lot of emotion, a lot of feelings.
If there was any hard feelings there, it didn't show. So I mean,
Tom Brady got all his hard feelings out when he won a Super Bowl last year. So
yeah, well, it's business, and I think everybody there understands it. The fans don't, but
I think some of the fans do.
The people involved do. He got cheered when he came out, and then he got booed once
cheered
the
and
game
booed.
started. Yeah, booed once the game started. So that's typical.
All right. What's not so typical is a weather delay in a domed stadium. That's right, everybody. If you were watching the Monday night game last night, oh my gosh, there it is. Put $1 in the Oakland jar.
Yep.
Put $1 in the Oakland jar. The Las Vegas Raiders and the Los Angeles Chargers played a game in SoFi Stadium in Los Angeles, California. There was a lightning storm going on, and the game got delayed by 35 minutes.
Well, it might be a covered stadium, but it's open on the sides. It's not completely sealed up. It's just like a covering over the field. I get that,
but still, even then.
So you are kind of outside.
Even then, apparently, even the dome, the roof itself wasn't. There's something up with the roof of the dome.
It's all electrified because they can put electronic messages up there for passing UFOs and
every
planes
dome stadium's got electricity
in
it. God, don't give me that spiel. But there was something else they said that because they did something with the roof that. I don't know. So it's stupid. Sounds like it's a very stupid design. I know John Gruden had some of my favorite quotes about it being a stupid design choice. I don't know how much of that was frustration out of losing, how much of that was actual frustration on the delay, but yeah. Anyway, there was a game that eventually got played, and the Los Angeles Chargers defeated the Las Vegas Raiders 28-14. Justin Herbert, the quarterback of the Los Angeles Chargers, is the first quarterback since 1950 to reach 500-plus completions before his 20th start. So, good young quarterback there, too.
What was interesting about this game is that there were a lot of Raiders fans.
Oh, yeah, they took over that stadium.
Yeah, at times it seemed like this was a Raiders home game and not a Chargers home game because the fans were cheering for the Raiders. And you got to remember, they used to be the Los Angeles Raiders for a number of years. And so yeah, a couple of teams that came from elsewhere and now play there or did play in Los Angeles. Between the Rams, the Chargers, and the Raiders, they all have called Los Angeles home at one time. So you're still going to have fans in L.A.
But, I mean, the Raiders also, those fans travel. It doesn't matter.
Right, that's true. It's like Packer fans and Cowboy fans. They'll go anywhere in the country.
No, I think they're just the infestation that you're going to find everywhere no matter what. Kind of the bed bugs you don't want. But I digress.
Yes, you do.
But, so that's it for the NFL scoreboard. Yep, we won't mention the Urban Meyer controversy. That's a whole other bag of worms.
No.
You've probably heard it to death. We have no stake in that game,
no
and I don't. Well, not a comment.
We'll see what happens. We'll see.
I'm just gonna call him stupid and move on. Like, it's a dumb thing to do.
See if anything happens to him by next week. Does he get released or fired?
Oh, I don't know.
Nothing happens.
There's been statements all day.
Fine.
Nothing's happening to him. All right, we're gonna move on to the CFL scoreboard, where on Tuesday, that's right, we had a Tuesday game last week. The Ottawa Red Blacks defeated the Edmonton Elks 34-24 in just the second win for Ottawa this season, both against Edmonton, funny enough.
Mm-hmm.
Rookie quarterback Caleb Evans made his first CFL start for Ottawa. He was 15-22 for 121 yards and 3 touchdowns.
191 yards.
191 yards and a touchdown.
3 touchdowns.
3 touchdowns. Man, I'm on a different line. He also ran 7 times for 59 yards.
Okay.
Ottawa wide receiver Devontae Dedmon had a 73-yard punt return for a touchdown in the third quarter. And then for the Elks quarterback Taylor Cornelius was also making his first CFL start. He was 22 of 31 for 334 yards with 2 touchdowns and 2 interceptions. Wide receiver Shai Ross had 3 receptions for 85 yards and 2 touchdowns, including a 77-yard touchdown in the second quarter.
Yeah, a couple of really good highlights from that game, but not the best highlights of the week.
No, I guess that we have those to come.
Keep going.
On Friday, the Winnipeg Blue Bombers showed why they're probably the best team in the CFL by defeating the British Columbia Lions 30-9. This is their 5th straight win for the Blue Bombers. Quarterback Zach Caleros was 28 of 33 for 417 yards and 2 touchdowns.
17 yards. Wow.
That's what I said.
Yeah.
I said that once.
I know.
You
I'm just repeating it because it's.
I was going to say there's an echo in
not
here.
too many guys throw for 400 yards in a game.
And not too many guys cause an echo when you're trying to read off of a script.
Echo.
Wide receiver Kenny Lawler caught 12 passes. That's right. You heard that right. 12 passes. If he was in your fantasy league, that's probably 12 points for 205 yards and a touchdown. So
205 yards receiving.
He's the Megatron.
Man.
He's the Megatron of
about half of what everything the quarterback threw was to him.
Yeah. British Columbia's quarterback Mike Riley was 17 of 27 for 177 yards, no touchdowns. With Winnipeg now at 7-1, they have the best record in the CFL by 2 games.
Yeah, they're starting to pull away from everybody. I don't know. I think they're already looking at their plane tickets to the Grey Cup.
They're looking at repeat. On Saturday, the Montreal Alouettes defeated the Hamilton Tiger Cats in overtime, 23-20. According to my co-host, these are the best CFL highlights of the week.
So check these highlights out on CFL.ca.
Okay, let me go to them right now. Well, in the middle of the show.
Check it out later.
All right. Hamilton led for most of the game, but needed a 55-yard field goal by Taylor Bertolette at the end of the regulation to force overtime. But a fumble by Hamilton in overtime allowed Montreal kicker Dave Cote. Yep, Dave Cote. Again, that echo. God, am I the only one hearing it? To kick the game-winning 36-yard field goal. The Ticats had won 11 straight games at home, dating back to 2018. Montreal quarterback Vernon Adams was 17 of 26 for 209 yards, 2 touchdowns with 2 interceptions. For Hamilton, Jeremiah Masoli, who returned from his injury, was 23 of 33 for 223 yards, but no touchdowns. The Montreal defense recorded 4 sacks in the game, and the Hamilton defense recorded 3 sacks.
Yeah, this was a back and forth game. Pretty much all game long, Hamilton had the lead, but I think with about a minute left, Montreal scored to take the lead, and in that final minute, they worked their way down the field, kicked a 55-yard field goal, which if you look at the replays, and I posted a lot of these replays on our Twitter page, it barely got over the crossbar, but it made it, and so that sent it into overtime. I don't know if it was the first play or on the first series in overtime. Hamilton fumbled the ball. Bad exchange between the quarterback and the running back, and Montreal gets the ball. And in fact, I'm not sure if they just immediately kicked or if they ran a couple plays, but they're already deep in Hamilton territory. So 36-yard field goal later, and overtime was over. The great highlights in this game. So many great catches. One guy ran for a touchdown. He actually bobbled the ball out of his hands about the 2-yard line, fumbled it into the end zone, and then dove on it before anybody else could get to it. There was a 2-point play that was kind of the same way, where the receiver took the ball right out of the defender's hands for the 2-point conversion. Just a ton of great plays in this game. Go check those highlights out. This was a really, really fun game.
And our final CFL game of the week was the Calgary Stampeders defeating the Saskatchewan Roughriders 23-17. For Calgary, it was quarterback Bo Levi Mitchell, who was 16 of 25 for 184 yards and 2 touchdowns, while Saskatchewan's quarterback Cody Fajardo was 25 of 44 for 269 yards. After scoring late in the game to bring the Riders to within 6 points of the Stampeders, Saskatchewan kicker Brett Lawther recovered his own onside kick, but an interception in the closing seconds let Calgary escape with the win. Interesting fact, Calgary head coach Dave Dickinson and Saskatchewan head coach Craig Dickinson are not related. Funny.
No, they are brothers.
Okay, yeah, they are brothers.
We talked about
They're
this.
the Harbaughs of the CFL.
Yeah, we talked about this a year or so ago, but that they were brothers. I think one's been the coach, I think, at Calgary for about 10 years, and the other guy just got his job about 2 years ago. But we talked about it, and I had totally forgotten that until I was watching the highlights, and they mentioned that these two brothers will be meeting again in a couple of weeks. But that onside kick, they had everybody off to the left-hand side, and it looked like that's where he was going to kick it because all the defenders were over there too, and he just kicked it right straight down the middle, nobody there, and he just followed it, and he waited and waited and waited until it got 10 yards, and as soon as it crossed the line, he pounced on it just as 3 other guys were pouncing on him, but he recovered his own kick. I don't know if that was designed or if he just saw an opening and decided to take it, but God, that was an awesome play.
And then on by this week, the Toronto Argonauts, whose next game will be at home against the Ottawa Red Blacks. Then we just quickly will look at the standings. In the West, it's Winnipeg, like we were talking about, up 7 victories, 1 loss, 7-1. Saskatchewan in second with a 5-3 record, followed by British Columbia at 4-4, Calgary at 3-5, and Edmonton rounding out the West with a 2-5 record. In the East, it's Toronto back on top with a 4-3 record, followed by Hamilton at 4-4, Montreal at 3-4, and Ottawa still at the bottom there with a 2-5 record. And that is it for the CFL portion of the scoreboard. We throw it now over to Randy, who will give us all the goodness from the border of Canada to the border of Mexico. We're going to talk all about collegiate football, coast to coast, north and south and east and west. Intro going on too long.
All right, hush. All right, week 5 in college football. We're going to start with the top 4 in the FBS. It was number 1 Alabama over number 12 Ole Miss, 42-21. It's good to see Alabama playing a ranked team and not Mercer College from the FCS.
And former offensive coordinator, what's his name? I
know who you're talking about.
Yeah, what's his name?
But he used to work.
What's his name?
I don't know. He used to work at
Oh my
Alabama.
God, that's killing me. Who is Ole Miss's head coach?
Well, let's round out the top 4.
No,
here.
I gotta know this right now. Ole Miss head coach, not Les Miles. Come on, what's his name?
Lane Kiffin? No.
Lane Kiffin. Thank you. We can move on happily. Lane Kiffin's his name.
All right. Number 2 Georgia shut out number 8 Arkansas 37-0.
Wow.
Stanford upset number 3 Oregon 31-24 in overtime. The curse of being number 3 in the country has struck again.
And the curse of calling Oregon,
Oregon, potato, whatever.
Demi Lovato. Moving on.
Yeah. And number 4 Penn State over Indiana, and I did not write the score down.
Wow. What way to flub this one up. Give me 2 seconds.
I didn't write that down in my rundown.
How did you not write this down?
I don't know.
Let's see. Penn State. Where are we at? Penn State. That's next week's scores. Wow, this is great radio, folks.
It's internet. It's not radio.
Internet radio, same thing nowadays. You would know the difference. Man, oh man, I don't think they played last week. I think you wrote down the wrong score.
Well, let's
hold on. What were they ranked? They were number 4?
Yeah, number 4.
Why am I not finding them? There it is. They blanked Indiana 24-0.
Really? I didn't know that.
Gee, the guy who didn't know that didn't put the score in his
2
rundown.
shutouts in the top 4? I would have known if I'd known.
I would have known that. Well, clearly you didn't know that. God.
All right, in other scores, it was number 5 Iowa over Maryland.
Didn't even look that score up
14.
Too? Okay,
I just made that up. It was number 7 Cincinnati beating number 9 Notre Dame 24-13, and you sent me this.
Yes,
graphic.
this is a funny stat. Or not even a stat, it's just a funny tidbit of information.
Notre Dame paid the Bearcats $1.2 million
to kick their butts.
to come to South Bend and play a game. Now that's something. See, that's why Notre Dame needs to be in a conference, because
you don't have to pay for losses.
Well, yeah. Well, I mean, if they're an independent team, so they have to set up, their own independent schedule. So they go around and they say, "Hey, would you consider coming to, Notre Dame to play a game
and to get our tails handed to us?"
So they paid them a $1.2 million dollars to come there to South Bend, and they beat them. So they went home with a win and a check.
Yeah, that's gonna be a great feeling. And good for Cincinnati. Ranked number 7 in the country. I forget what the new rankings are. They had to have climbed up.
I've got them here in a little bit.
Okay, cool, perfect. So they moved up to number 5. Spoiler alert. So good for them. They've moved up. They've been a team the last couple of years kind of on that bubble of like, will they be good enough to get into the playoff? And they've always kind of been on the outside looking in. Now this year, there's been so much chaos. There's been so much turnover in those top spots. Sure, we're still waiting for the first polls to come out or the rankings to come out of the championship committee.
Right.
But hey, you're right there.
Committee.
You're right there And there's only going to be more chaos because the number 3 team can't seem to hold on to that seed to save their life.
You realize that's Brian Kelly's old school?
Yes. We talked about this last week,
I know,
believe.
but we didn't mention it today that he was beaten by his old school after he just set the record for the most wins
Now, if only
at Notre
Central
Dame.
Michigan and Grand Valley State could play Notre Dame and beat the crap out of them, too.
Yeah, boy, that would be a great day. All right, others top 25 scores. Number 16, Coastal Carolina over University of Louisiana Monroe, 59-6. And is not in the top 25, but I don't know where to put
poorly
these every
named
week.
segment right here.
Western Michigan defeated Buffalo 24-17. That puts them at 4-0 or 4-1 on the season.
4-1,
Yeah.
1-0 in the MAC play.
Yep.
Good for the Broncos. A lot of work to do.
We weren't there this week. We were there the week before.
Yeah.
But
a lot of work to do, Broncos, but go Broncos, go.
Yeah, go Broncos, our hometown team. All right, top 25 upsets. Kentucky upset number 10 Florida 20-13. Mississippi State upset number 15 Texas A&M 26-22. Hawaii upset number 18 Fresno State 27-24, and Arizona State upset number 20 UCLA 42-23. We had a number of blowouts this week. Tennessee over Missouri 62-24. Iowa State over Kansas 59-7, and Nebraska over Northwestern 56-7. In our military academies, it was Ball State of the MAC defeating Army 28-16, Air Force over New Mexico 38-10, and Navy over the University of Central Florida 34-30. Let's see, lower level college football spotlight. We're going to move on to the FCS level, where Grambling State got their first win of the season, defeating the number 1 ranked Alabama A&M by the score of 37-28, ranked number 1 in the FCS, and they did it with a rookie quarterback, Noah Bodden, I guess is how you pronounce his name. But congratulations to Grambling. They had 3 road games to start the season, so this was their first home game of the season in Week 4, and Week 4 for the FCS anyway. So congratulations to them. In Division 2, it was Grand Valley State over Saginaw Valley, 49-17. That's a couple of Michigan Division 2 teams. In Division 3, it was Amherst over Tufts, 24-21. In the NAIA, it was number 5 ranked Concordia of Michigan over number 11 ranked Indiana Wesleyan, 28-21. In the junior college level, it was our beloved Snow College Badgers from Ephraim, Utah, over the Georgia Military, 49-17. In U Sports up in Canada, it was the Ottawa Gee-Gees over the Carleton Ravens, 19-17, in the 52nd Panda Game. And I had to look this up. The Panda Game, that's like the trophy that they play for. It started back in 1955, and it was a stuffed panda bear. Just a stuffed toy panda bear. That they
Sounds like the makings of a history lesson, but you're giving it to us for free.
I do have this jotted down for a history lesson someday, but in modern days they actually have a trophy with like a bronze
panda on it.
But it's a big deal between these two schools because they're both in the city of Ottawa. They're cross-city rivals, and the fans just go nuts over this game every year. So yeah, Ottawa winning the 52nd Panda Game with their cross-town rivals, the Carleton Ravens. Let's see. And finally, in Canadian Junior College, not Junior College, this is the Junior Football League. It was the Winnipeg Rifles. I just love that name. The Winnipeg Rifles over the Calgary Colts, 28-26. And that is it for this week's World of Football scoreboard. So now we're going to turn to some NFL news. And the big news out of the NFL this week was the Super Bowl halftime show was announced.
Yeah.
Five big stars. Snoop Dogg.
Hold on. You say hold on. No. We're not doing it like that. 5 big stars. When this was announced, you go, I don't know who any of these people are.
I know who Snoop Dogg. I've heard of all these people. I just couldn't tell you any songs they've ever done.
Yeah, okay. But you said, I don't know who any of these people are. I was there for it. No, you weren't.
Everybody knows who Snoop Dogg. You
had your glasses at the end of your nose. You were staring at your phone like this, and you were saying, I don't know who any of these people are. That's exactly how it went down.
Oh, that was a joke. I mean, Snoop Dogg had that reality show on one of the...
Oh, this is what you're gonna think he's famous for.
Yeah, because Coach Snoop, where he coached, like a Pee Wee football
One
team.
of the many things he's done that's
Right.
made him famous.
Well,
Well, that was even after he was already
and he does
famous.
that show with Martha Stewart where he...
There's the other one I figured you were gonna go to. That was like, that's also not what made him famous.
Yeah, I know. Anyway,
Come
it's
on, man.
Snoop
He's
Dogg,
the D-O-double-G. Come on.
Dr. Dre, Eminem, Mary J. Blige, and Kendrick Lamar.
Do you know
Again.
who? Hold on. Of all
I've
those,
heard the name. I've heard the name Kendrick Lamar.
but you don't know who Kendrick Lamar is.
Nope.
Kendrick Lamar.
Couldn't tell you any of his.
He's a
Well,
good
I'd never
rapper.
heard of The Weeknd before he did last year's halftime show.
Wow, did you just say that?
Well, that's how he spells it. He spells it wrong.
Yeah. Tell the $1 million artist he spells his name wrong. Man, oh man.
Well, it's
This guy
Weekend, but it's spelled wrong. Okay, so that's who the halftime show.
That was
is.
a death. That's why that pause was there.
I'm sure it'll be a big success.
I think this will be a great show.
Yep.
I love all the jokes about how a lot of crusty old white guys are going to turn off the TV when they come out to perform. I think this will be. I like the idea that they can change up the genre every year.
Sure.
Like, hey,
Sure.
you know what? One year bring out a country star, whatever. One year bring out Paul McCartney.
That's right.
Awesome.
Bring him
One year
back.
bring out a great collection of rappers and people that I think it's cool that Kendrick Lamar is getting a halftime show. Eminem will be a great representation for the city of Detroit because God knows the Lions aren't going to be that representation. But I think this is a great lineup. I think it'll be you'll probably get some cool two of their famous songs kind of getting merged into one. So you'll probably get a lot of cross pollination and probably some different variety. And I bet you that's not even the end of it. These are the 5 headliners.
Right. There might be a few others.
There
that we
could
don't
be a
even know
slew.
about.
They'll probably bring in like a aging rock band that nobody really cares about, like AC/DC anymore, and just throw them in there for good measure. Like they brought out Coldplay one year. God.
But didn't they say in the press release that between these 5 artists, they had like 43 Grammys?
Yeah,
and a bunch of
they
other-
have all the Grammys.
Yeah.
Just every single Grammy ever has gone to these 5 artists.
Okay.
Just so you know.
Well, if they bring somebody else in other than these 5,
Weird Al, Weird Al, Weird Al,
yeah, I would
Weird
love to see
Al.
that. He could do White and Nerdy, and but I'm just saying, if they bring somebody else in, expect me to lean over to you and go, "Who's that? Who's that guy? Who's that woman?"
Then
I
I'll
never
say,
do that.
read the screen because they'll probably put it on the screen.
So anyway, the halftime,
I think it'll be fun. I think
the
this will be
halftime show
cool.
is set, and it sounds like it'll be a lot of fun. All right, another story on the NFL. The Packers equipment manager sewed a pocket into the jersey of running back Aaron Jones to hold a pendant containing his father's ashes. In case you didn't know, he lost that pendant, which he wears around his neck during the games. He lost it during the game against the Green Bay Packers,
Against the
Detroit Lions in Green Bay, and it was later found in the end zone by a member of the grounds crew who was like on his hands and knees going through every blade of grass trying to find it. Finally did. His father had passed away earlier this year, so I think that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
And you see all these guys, they got these gold chains around their necks, and I'm thinking, aren't those things getting ripped off? Guys reaching for, doing a horse collar tackle or something, or trying to shove a guy's helmet off. Aren't these things getting broke left and right? Why would you want to, risk something like that on the field? So I'm glad that they put a pocket for his father's ashes.
I think because I
it's a
think that's
thing.
cool that he's got that on him,
Right.
especially during the game because his dad was at all the games. It means a lot to him, so I'm totally cool with something like that. I thought it was funny, and I like watching Aaron Jones. I think he's a great running back, even though he is a headache for us Lions fans.
Yeah.
But I do like watching him play when he gets the ball. Seems like a cool dude. I have no problem with him, unlike Aaron Rodgers. So good for him, and I like this story a lot.
Well, we got one of their running backs in Detroit this year.
Oh, and he's been great.
Williams,
He's
yeah,
my
done
favorite
really
Lion.
well. So yeah, maybe
Jamal Williams is my
maybe
favorite
we can
Lion
get
right now.
Aaron Jones next year and
Let's
put them side by side in
let's
the
not
backfield.
get too crazy. What kind of hopium are you smoking?
None. In college news, we got the top 25 AP poll for next week. Number 1, Alabama has remained the same. Number 2, Georgia has remained in its place. But at number 3, it's Iowa, moving up from number 5. And number 4, Penn State remained the same for next week.
Yep, like
And
we
you
said.
Cincinnati went to 5.
Yep, Cincinnati's number 5. Michigan's, I think, at number 9. Ohio State's at like 7 or 8. So a lot of Big Ten teams getting into the action here. But obviously the top 2 teams, no contest right now, are 2 SEC powerhouses, Alabama, Georgia. Then you get a couple Big Ten teams and Iowa, Penn State in there in the top 4. So
What did I tell you yesterday?
I don't remember. You say a lot of stuff that goes in one year and then just goes.
It was
right
either
out the
11 or 13 of the top 25 teams are all 5-0 right now. It's at least 11. I mean, it's like half of the teams in the top 25 are 5-0 teams right now. And, that's going to get.
But there's a
weeded
big
out
difference
next
between a good 5-0 and a good 5. Okay, 5.
Yeah, a number one team that played Mercer and probably some other.
If you're 5-0 playing cupcakes, yeah.
But you still get number one because everybody loves you. All right, Eli's Places on ESPN Plus. I saw the latest episode, which was episode 5 this week, and it starts out with Eli and Neil deGrasse Tyson sitting in the Yale Bowl in Connecticut there, and they're looking up at the stars, and he says, Eli, why did you bring me to the only college football stadium that doesn't have any lights? And he says, so we could look at the stars. And so they got talking about the science of football and all this kind of stuff. But it was just kind of cool that he was on there, and I had forgotten that Yale does not have any lights. They had a game a couple years ago when it went long. Wasn't there like a weather delay, and so it was getting almost too dark to play the game at the end, and they finally finished it all in time. But I mean, they talked about Walter Camp and his effect on football, because he was a player and then later a coach at Yale, and he's the father of American football. They also talked about the rivalry with Harvard, and they talked to Ryan Fitzpatrick, which I did not know that Ryan Fitzpatrick played at Harvard. You said you've known that all
I've
along,
known that for years.
That was I guess I never paid attention to that. And they talked about Lauren DeLand coming up with the flying wedge formation for Harvard. So it was a lot of really old historic information that they talked about, a lot of cool pictures and videos and whatnot. So this was a good episode. I really liked this one. We're looking forward to see some more episodes. But Eli's Places, a good show. Check it out if you haven't seen it already.
I also saw on Twitter real quick, kind of related to Eli, because there was no Monday night broadcast with the Manning brothers last night. So Eli was saying, well, Peyton and I are still on the phone talking about the game, and part of me is wondering if his armpits are still sweating like on TV.
Yeah, at least over the phone you can give him the double bird and nobody's going to know about it.
Yeah.
All right, Arena Football TV on YouTube. They are now at 955 subscribers, trying to get to 1,000.
45 more.
Help them out by subscribing to this channel. It's a really good channel. They normally post new games every week, and a lot of times it's on Tuesday, but I checked before we started recording, and they had not posted anything this week yet. So all I can say is go to their page and look up the Arena Bowl 15 game from 2001 between the Nashville Cats and our beloved Grand Rapids Rampage, of which you happen to be wearing a shirt. You didn't know this. You didn't know I was going to put this in there until
I didn't.
You came in. But you came in with Grand Rapids.
I wore this to work
shirt.
when I got over here. Actually, people at work noticed it. I was a little surprised people noticed what it was. A couple had to ask me what it was, but yeah, I like repping this Rampage shirt.
So yeah, so go check that out. You and I were at that game.
Oh, yeah, we were.
Some of our relatives.
That's probably like a top 5 football memory for me. Probably
for me, that was one of the greatest football moments in my life.
Yeah,
I mean, I've
write a book about it.
I've never been to a Super Bowl. I've never been to a national championship, but that game plus when we went down to the Cotton Bowl to watch Western play Wisconsin, that's right up there too. Those are like
everybody
1 and 2.
should have everybody should have their own personal. If you're a football fan, you should have at least 5 things on your bucket list to do. One of them should be some sort of championship game, regardless of if it's professional or if you got like a local indoor team or something. Go check it out, because we went and saw like the local Kalamazoo team when they were in the championship for the Continental.
I've seen a couple of championship games
indoor football league. You've been to a couple Arena Bowls now.
Yep.
One for our hometown Rampage, but then you were kind of there for the Gladiators in Cleveland. Yep. So cool stuff. And then what other championships have you done? Not championship, but then we did the one bowl game. So, we've done several bowl games, actually. Never mind, we've gone to Detroit. But those bowl games aren't as special.
Motor City Bowl and the MAC Championship game.
MAC Championship, that was a special one. The MAC Championship was a special one, too.
Yep.
So if you got like a college, too, if you can just go to like a Big Ten title, or if you could go to a SEC title game, or wherever other conference you enjoy has got a title game, do that. I recommend it, because like the Western MAC title game was awesome.
Yes.
The
so close.
And the Cotton Bowl, a legendary game, even though it's not in the legendary stadium. Even though the stadium
I wanted to see the stadium.
But this particular stadium is legendary now, but it's not the famous Cotton Bowl stadium.
Right.
It was still magical. I don't know how they did it in that Coliseum they call AT&T Stadium, but they did it, and Wisconsin fans are pretty nice. I'll give it to them.
Well, do you remember us going to the state high school championship games?
Yeah, for your high school team?
Yep, my old high school team was in the state finals one year.
What a boring game. They lost 6-0.
Yeah, I know. But what a
Who
great
loses
season.
6-0?
And I followed them all season long. I went to all their playoff games.
We went to
froze my butt off going to some of those.
We went to a lot of those playoffs. I remember, because I don't remember how old I was. That was, what, 96, 7? They went to the championship?
I don't remember.
I want to say it was around then. So I was 7 or 8 years old. I remember going to some of those games in your hometown and freezing our butts off. And the stadium was packed for that team that year, I remember. And
they had a great year. They just came up so short in the title game at the Silverdome.
I'm sure I would have appreciated the game now. 6-0, just defensive battle, two teams duking it out.
Right.
But I just look back and go, your team lost 6-0. But who loses 6-0?
It was you and I and my two brothers.
Yeah.
The four of us went to that game.
Well, 3 of you alumni of that school.
Yeah.
So.
Yep. Okay. We do have one obituary to talk about today, and that is.
You have 2 obituaries to talk about.
I'm sorry. Yes, 2 obituaries.
2 obituaries and a birthday.
1 birthday. Okay. 2 obituaries, and this is where we take a moment to honor those who've made the world of football a better place. Our first obituary is that of Ray Snell, an offensive guard in the NFL for 6 seasons. He has passed away of cancer at the age of 63. Snell played college football at Wisconsin and was selected as the 22nd overall pick in the 1980 NFL Draft by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. He played for the Bucs from 1980 to 83. He then played for the Pittsburgh Steelers in 1984 and 1985 before being traded during the 85 season to the Detroit Lions, where he finished out the season and ended his playing career.
Our final obituary is that of Michael Soles, a running back in the Canadian Football League for 11 seasons and has passed away at the age of 54 after a 16-year battle with ALS. Soles played college football at McGill University in Montreal and was instrumental in leading the team to the Vanier Cup in college football national championship up there in Canada in 1987. I'm totally butchered that whole sentence.
Yeah.
To the Vanier Cup, which is the college football national championship in Canada. This was in 1987. He even wrote this whole sentence wrong, so I had to correct it myself.
It was fine when I wrote it.
It doesn't look fine. Read it back yourself. He went on to play for the Edmonton Eskimos from 1989 to 1995 and won a Grey Cup title with the team in 1993. He finished his playing career with the Montreal Alouettes from 1996 to 1999. The Michael Soles Football Award at McGill University was established in his honor in 2014.
All right, and we do have one birthday today, October 5th. Coach Barry Switzer turns 84 years old today. He started out as an assistant coach at Arkansas from 1961 to 65. Then he was an assistant coach at Oklahoma from 66 to 72. And then he became the head coach at Oklahoma and spent 16 seasons as a head coach there from 1973 to 1988. He led the team to 13 bowl games during that time and won 8 of them. He was also the head coach of the Dallas Cowboys from 1994 to 1997, and he led the team to a win in Super Bowl 30. So happy birthday, Coach Switzer. All right, anything we need to talk about before we get into today's history lesson?
Nope, no breaking news, nothing crazy going on in the world of football as of this moment. So I think it's time for you to introduce what our history lesson is this week.
All right, we turn our attention to this week's history lesson, and this time we're going to talk about the 1932 Portsmouth Spartans and their Iron Man game. On Sunday, December 4th, 1932, the NFL champion Green Bay Packers faced off against the Portsmouth Spartans in what has become known as the Iron Man game. The Packers had won the NFL title 3 straight years in 1929, 1930, and 1931. The game was played in Portsmouth's Universal Stadium, which still stands today and is now known as Spartan Municipal Stadium. Interest in the game was so high that city officials actually brought in the National Guard to help control the crowd, which was estimated at between 13,000 and 17,500. The stadium only held about 12,000 spectators. The Packers came to town with the NFL's best record at 10-1-1. The Spartans were 5-1-4 going into the game. This would be the next to the last game of the season for both teams. In 1932, there were no playoffs or championship game. The team with the best record was awarded the title, so every game of the season was important in determining the league champion. The Portsmouth team had 17 players on the roster, but just before the game started, head coach Potsy Clark told his players that the only way any of the 11 starters were coming out of the game was if they had to be carried off the field. In the first quarter, Spartans running back Glenn Presnell scored a touchdown on a 3-yard run. Quarterback Dutch Clark kicked the extra point for a 7-0 Spartan lead. In the second quarter, Clark scored on an 8-yard run, giving the Spartans a 13-0 lead at halftime. There was no scoring in the third quarter, but in the fourth quarter, Clark threw a 27-yard touchdown pass to Presnell for the final points of the game and an improbable 19-0 shutout win over Curly Lambeau and his Packers. The loss essentially put an end to the Packers' attempt at winning a fourth straight NFL title. The Spartans did not make any substitutions during the game, beating the Packers with just 11 players. The following week, on December 11th, the Packers were again shut out, this time by the Chicago Bears and a score of 9-0. The Spartans were also shut out by the Bears 9-0 in their final game of the season on December 18th. This left the Bears and Spartans with identical winning percentages at the end of the season, something that had never happened since the league was founded in 1920. This led to the NFL's first championship game between the Spartans and the Bears, which was won by the Bears, again by the score of 9-0. The Iron Man game has been immortalized in Portsmouth with a mural on the retaining wall along the Ohio River near the downtown area, as well as on a historical marker near the stadium where the game was played. With today's 53-man rosters, we will most likely never see another Iron Man game in the NFL. But back in 1932, the Portsmouth Spartans showed the NFL that it was still possible to win a football game with just 11 players, and they did it with a shutout over the reigning NFL champion Green Bay Packers.
See, all I knew about that prior to this story was that the Portsmouth Spartans became the Detroit Lions. Mm-hmm. Everything else about the story, I did not know.
Yeah. Yep, and it happened during the season when they actually went to the NFL title game, the first NFL title game in 1932. This was a few weeks before that, so quite a historic season for the Portsmouth Spartans. Got a chance to go to their stadium several years ago.
Yeah. Great picture of you doing that. I haven't done that yet. That's on my bucket list of things to do someday.
Yep. So. And a very nice little town. They have a whole bunch of murals along the retaining wall that's by the Ohio River, and this game is of course featured, but there's so many other things. They have a big picture of Roy Rogers because he grew up near there, and so they just honor a lot of things that are key to that town. So very nice little town to go visit. Check them out sometime. All right, upcoming events. Let's see, October 10th. That's this Sunday. The New York Jets versus the Atlanta Falcons in Tottenham Hotspur Stadium in London. That is a 9:30 a.m. game this Sunday, so we won't have to wait long to get
our football fixed
NFL
that morning.
This Sunday, yes.
Oh man, go get some breakfast cooked up, sit on the couch, watch a game, then get lunch prepared, then watch the second game.
Yeah. Didn't we do what was it? Biscuits and gravy a couple years ago.
Probably you do biscuits. You hold on. In all fairness, you do biscuits and gravy often. More
than I should. Yes.
But hey, since you haven't, the last time you made it was before you could fit in that shirt. So congratulations.
Well, I want to keep fitting in this shirt, so I might make them, but I'm gonna have to cut down on them.
Yeah. Okay.
And then Monday, October 11th, is Thanksgiving Day
in Canada.
So
hold on, we didn't time that out the way we should have.
Yeah.
One more time. Ready? 3, 2, 1. In Canada. Oh, hold on. Now do it again, but
that was fine.
With Canadian accents this time. Okay, come on. If you're gonna commit to the bit, you got to do the bit.
In Canada, eh?
He did it on his own. I didn't have to do it.
Anyway, they're going to have 2 CFL games on that day. Probably won't be on TV around here, but you can catch them on ESPN+. The first game is going to be Ottawa at Montreal. That's a 1 o'clock Eastern time game. And then Toronto at Hamilton. That is the 4 o'clock game on Monday, October 11th.
And this is
Happy
their
Thanksgiving.
this is their third matchup this year, Toronto and Hamilton.
Yeah.
So
They don't like each other.
This should be a good one.
It should be a good
Hamilton.
one.
They've gone 1-for-1 against each other. So who's going to come out with this one? I am anxious.
Yeah, we'll see. All right, then October 17th, the week after the game in London, there's another game in London. Miami Dolphins versus the Jacksonville Jaguars, again at Tottenham Hotspur Stadium in London. That is also a 9:30 game. So the next two Sundays will start at 9:30 in the morning, and it'll get over with around midnight when when the Sunday night game gets over with. So make sure you've got your no-dos and your Mountain Dew and whatever it takes to keep you awake, because that's going to be a long day of football.
Or take the next day off of work like I did. So
Yes, you might have to. And then finally, in our upcoming events, November 20th is the end of the shortened CFL season. Only 14 games this year. That will be ending on November 20th.
that's a month and a half away.
Well,
month and a half away. It's crazy. We're almost done with the CFL season already.
yeah. Oh, well.
Oh well, no, not oh well. I love the CFL.
Well, at least we have a season this year.
Is true.
It'd be good to get into the playoffs and watch a Grey Cup game. That's pushed back into December this year. So,
Yeah.
Too bad it's not in a dome stadium. It's going to be in Hamilton this year. So it's going to be cold.
It's always cold up
Get
there.
your hot chocolate or whatever you got in your flask and bundle up and enjoy the game. All right, that's everything. That's everything for this week. If you learned something during this podcast about the incredible amount of diversity that exists in the world of football, then we have done our job. Visit our website at theworldoffootball.com for news, links, upcoming events, videos, and more. Our email address is info@theworldoffootball.com.
You can like the World of Football on Facebook at TWOF Kalamazoo, where we post a lot of unique stories, pictures, and highlights from all over the world of football. You can also follow us on Twitter. We are a good Twitter follow. And, by the way, follow our Twitter, because you never know when Facebook and Instagram are going to go down
That's
again.
right.
So after yesterday, when everybody's freaking out that Facebook and Instagram might be gone forever, Twitter was just sitting there laughing. So, hey, at least we still got a Twitter account. So make sure you're following us on both, because you never know. One could go down and the other one will still be up.
Yeah, I do
Cover your bases.
I do post a lot of things on Twitter that I don't put on Facebook or other.
And vice versa. So, new episodes of this podcast. Oh, by the way, we're at TWOF Kalamazoo on the Twitter as well. New episodes of this very podcast are posted every Tuesday and are available on SoundCloud, Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, TuneIn, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and YouTube, where we're going to post the whole audio version of this show.
Like we do every week.
Like we do every week now that we have a YouTube channel. And also, we're going to change things up this week with the YouTube channel. We're going to try experimenting with some new video format. We're going to, we've been doing for a few weeks, doing like the scoreboard all separate. 3 big videos.
One video for the NFL, one for the CFL, one for college.
And we've kind of figured out maybe scale back a little bit. Maybe we're throwing too much at the wall right now. Maybe let's just focus on one thing at a time. And we're going to give you a nice best of. So if you're listening to the podcast right now, come back Wednesday, where we will have a hopefully the goal is about a 15 to 20 minute best of this podcast, so you could see our awesome shirts we're wearing. You could see my beautiful face and his gory, ugly one.
I shaved.
It is spooky season. It's fine. You can take the Halloween mask off now. You look like Michael Myers over there. I'm just kidding. You don't even know who Michael Myers is. I'm not talking about
who Michael Myers
not
is.
the comedian from Austin Powers. But yeah, so we're gonna try some different stuff out. We'll still have our NFL picks videos on Thursday. We'll have our history lesson video up on Friday. So, yeah.
Oh, yeah? Well, you look like the guy from Jay and Silent Bob, so there.
Yeah. That's my Halloween costume this year. How'd you know?
Yeah, that's your Halloween costume every year. Fat man. Okay, once again, we're doing our weekly NFL picks, but this year they are available exclusively on our YouTube channel. So, look for them every Thursday throughout the NFL season.
You skipped over my line where I said, please subscribe, rate, review, let us know what you think,
I thought you were
and
done.
please come be a part of the football and Halloween conversation.
Well, I kind of shut you out when
did.
you started insulting me, so I just figured I'm going to do my thing.
Man, grow some thick skin. Good Lord, you're a big baby over there.
And remember, folks, some people may love football more than we do. Hard to believe. But nobody loves more football than we do. North of the border, south of the border, inside the border, all around the town. We love it all. Join us again next week when we'll review all the happenings in and around the world of football. Until then, I'm Randy Snow.
And I'm currently Googling people to help Randy kind of punch up his script writing. So we'll see how that goes next week.
So maybe you're going to show me some more rap artists that I might not be aware of.
Are you familiar with Will I Am?
Yes.
Or Fergie?
Yes.
I guess she's not a rapper. Lil Dicky. Are you familiar with Lil Dicky?
No.
ASAP Rocky?
No.
Trying to think of some other ones. I know Blueprint. Blueprint. Who else do I like?
Now you're just making words up.
That's not true. Nicki Minaj, great rapper. Megan Thee Stallion.
Yeah, I've heard the name.
Iggy Azalea.
Mm-hmm.
What other rappers do I like? Probably too many to list for this show. You're probably wanting to wrap this up,
Yeah,
aren't
the
you?
only rappers I like are the ones around a double cheeseburger. All right, we'll see you all next week.
Wow, you're actually funny. You're funny when you want to be.
Thank you.
Oh, God. Do we end it there?